the best of the rest of the news. Last month, a witness in an ongoing federal class action suit against the New York City Police Department played a tape recording of an NYPD deputy inspector ordering an officer under his command to target young Latino and black men for random searches. The recording shed new light on a controversial topic and the subject of that class action suit, New York City's Stop and Frisk program. For its supporters, Stop and Frisk, which allows police officers to stop, question, and search any individual they suspect of breaking the law, is an essential tool for fighting crime and keeping communities safe from violence. To its critics, however, Stop and Frisk is a gross and racist violation of civil rights. According to the New York chapter of the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, of the 4.4 million Stop and Frisk-related incidents during Michael Bloomberg's time as mayor, quote, 86% of people stopped were black or Latino, end quote. For those who oppose the NYPD's policies, these statistics are evidence of a deeply flawed and unfair criminal justice system. Joining us now is Noche Diaz, activist with the Revolution Club and Stop Mass Incarceration Network. Noche, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Thom.
Thanks for joining us. A Manhattan judge just dropped charges against you the other day. What were the charges? What happened?
So I was facing 2 years jail time for in a case that goes back to October of 2011, which was the first in a wave of protests called by Cornel West and Carl Dix for people to put something on the line to begin to stand up against this stop and frisk policy. I was actually not there committing civil disobedience, but I was sort of, identified by the police and dragged out of the crowd and targeted for the role that I've played in that neighborhood and in the movement to stand up against this, illegal and illegitimate policy. And
in other words, they went after you because you're an activist. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, someone who's also well known in the neighborhood where we were protesting.
Yeah. Pardon my interrupting.
No, it's fine. I was then also arrested in an unrelated incident at a high school where youth who were marching for Trayvon Martin, chanting "We want justice," were then descended upon by police who were saying that they were going to take everyone to jail who didn't get out of the area quick enough. They threw a 14-year-old through a window at a bank, and then they also went to arrest another woman. And when they ordered people to leave the area when this was happening, I refused to do so, and I was also arrested. And then they put these two together to try to say that there's a pattern of behavior on my behalf, that I'm someone who does no good, and really to send a message too that when people do stand with these youth who are under attack all the time and who plays a role in leading and inspiring others to stand up against something that they hold so dear like stop and frisk, that this is what happens to you. And we were out to send another message by building a fight to drop all those charges, and it was a huge victory for people when all the criminal charges were dropped last Tuesday.
Yeah. Indeed, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Stop and frisk. What's it like? What's it like to live in a community that feels like it's continually under siege by the people who are supposed to protect it, the police?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you throw out some of the numbers which are important for people to really know, because like, a lot of times you just hear it and it's anecdotal, and really see how widespread it is. 1,900 times every day this is happening. Like you said, over 85% black or Latinos who are being targeted. And then this argument that it's about going after and preventing crime, getting guns off the street is a lie by their own data that they've revealed, which is that in over 90% of these cases, people are charged with nothing and are given no legal or legitimate reason for being stopped and often thrown against walls. And then in many of these cases too, they end up in far worse than just having people's rights violated. You have kids who never go home and who are taken from their families and murdered by police because they're treated like a generation of suspects and criminals. And then to give a little bit of flavor to it, just imagine every time you walk home or walk to school or to work or something like that, hanging over your head that at any point a police officer can step to you, throw you against the wall, search you, and if you assert that you have any kind of basic rights or that you're a human being who deserves to be respected, you could land yourself in jail with cases over you. And this is something that happens all the time. You have people developing criminal records from the time they're 14, 15, or being harassed so often. One 15-year-old told me that he had to get a restraining order against the police in his neighborhood because he had been, by the time he was 14, he had been stopped so many times. His mother was afraid for his life, and now that he's 15, the restraining order is past its time, and so his mother doesn't let him go out and play with his friends as much anymore because she's afraid for him to be out in the streets, knowing that these police are out there.
Amazing.
And at any point can do him that way.
Amazing. Noche Diaz, thank you for both your activism, your passion, and the risks that you've taken, and thank you for being with us tonight and sharing your story.
Okay. Thank you, Thom.